Nigeria confirms 5 new COVID-19 cases, bringing total to 8. It was long coming. Now it's here. 13 coronavirus-ravaged countries placed on Nigeria's travel ban. On the international scene, European Union seals borders for a month to fight spread of coronavirus. And in sport, Super Eagles former captain Mikel terminates contract with Trabzonspor.
This is ANN News.
I am Olajumoke Olatunji. We start with a bit of good news for Nigerian motorists and anyone who operates petrol generator. The federal government has reduced the price of fuel to 139 naira per litre. This is in reaction to the economic hard times that is expected from the coronavirus pandemic. The price of crude oil has fallen drastically in the global market. Nigeria has entered uncharted waters as its coronavirus cases shoot up to 8. 5 new cases were confirmed in Abuja today by Minister of Health Osage Ehanire. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control says all 5 new cases had a travel record that goes through the United Kingdom and the United States. The center assures Nigerians that public health response activities have been intensified across the country. The health minister said 3 of the patients, including a mother and her child, had come from the United States. 2 are from the United Kingdom. NCDC says it is compiling a detailed travel history of each person. It also says it has begun contact tracing to ensure every passenger is traced who traveled on the same flight or had contact with them patients on the landing. The center also said Nigeria had suspended issuance of visas on arrival to travelers from the USA and the UK. Well, nobody was sure it was going to happen, but as COVID-19 appears to want to dig its feet on the Nigerian soil, the federal government wants to let everyone know COVID-19 is an unwelcome guest in the country. To this end, Nigeria has introduced a new travel ban that restricts 13 countries from entering Nigeria. Minister of Health Osage Ehanire announced China, Italy, Iran, South Korea, Spain, Japan, France, Germany, the United States of America, Norway, the United Kingdom, Netherlands, and Switzerland have been placed on the travel ban because of the extent to which coronavirus had spread in those countries. The ban takes effect on Saturday. The minister says any traveler who returns from any of the banned countries before the restrictions take effect will be placed in supervised self-isolation and would be monitored by the NCDC. Now, fighting coronavirus is one thing, fighting poverty is another. And Nigeria is doing both. But the fight is money consuming and the country may not be able to fund a protracted situation. So Senate President Ahmad Lawan has sprung into action to ensure help is secured before the situation gets out of hand. Lawan has appealed to the World Bank to come to Nigeria's rescue as it battles poverty in the land and coronavirus to boot. The Senate President told the World Bank coronavirus has made it difficult to raise revenue for the implementation of the country's 2020 budget. Lawan made the plea on Tuesday when the World Bank Country Director Shubham Chaudhuri visited him in Abuja. He told the World Bank Director, apart from money, the country also needs technical support. He said Nigeria will grow bigger with World Bank's assistance. The National Youth Service Corps NYSC is not taking chances with coronavirus, so it has shut the doors on the 2020 Batch A orientation camp, which opened on Tuesday. This follows the confirmation of the 3rd COVID-19 case in the country. This appears to be a smart move, especially now the confirmed cases has risen to 8. NYSC management says Corps members will instead be posted to begin primary assignment. The Corps members are not going to avoid orientation though, and as soon as the coronavirus situation improves, NYSC says Batch A Corps members should expect to be invited back to the orientation camp. Generators have almost become synonymous with Nigeria, as most of the country depends on them to ensure they don't live in darkness. The country has spent billions of dollars over the decades trying to fix its power problems, but nothing seems to be working. Now, a lawmaker has introduced a bill to ban importation of generators into the country. She says the move will force the government to develop the country's power sector. Deji Badmos has the story.
Even when the bill becomes law, Samuel, a generator operator, or his employer could be liable to a 10-year jail term for using this generator to power their business. The generator is the main source of power supply for the company. Without it, they may long have been out of business.
Make power stable 24 hours. We do not even need the ban for people to abandon their generating sets because we don't need it. We do not want it. We needed it now because there is no power. So once power is available and is constant and stable, nobody is going to resort to generate because we spend more money using the generating set. So
Nigeria has spent billions of dollars to improve its power supply, but not very much has changed on the ground. Millions still live in darkness. The senator sponsoring the bill says his proposal is basically aimed at facilitating the development of the electricity sector and curb air pollution by generator fumes in the country. But many are just not buying it.
I think it turns logic on its head. The National Assembly should focus on how to improve the discos, distribution companies, the generation companies, the transmission grid, as to improve power supply to homes and offices as well as corporate industries, and not to focus on the alternative power supply, which for those who have actually acquired those assets, is a pain in the neck.
Solar system is obviously an alternative and people are gradually ditching their generators for them. But the number of users is still very low because of the high cost of deploying the system. Some say that is where the bill should actually be looking at.
the government can only advise and say, oh, we are going to subsidize batteries and solar panels so that Nigerians will see that one as a cheaper alternative to buying of generators and the use of and going to the petrol station to queue up to buy fuel to power their generators.
The bill has already scaled first reading in the Senate and is slated for the crucial second reading. If it scaled that stage, then the chances of it becoming law will be high, unless, of course, the president eventually declines giving his assent. But you can be sure that public opposition against the bill will continue to swell going forward.
Coming up, African stories. Liberian President George Weah sacks country's COVID-19 index case, who has now infected his domestic worker. And later, international news. European Union seals out the world, shuts its borders to stem coronavirus spread.
You are watching ANN.
You heard them yourselves, folks. Thousands of fans from across Nigeria have come together to witness the global phenomenon. It's the artist ruling the airwaves, the one with a voice that makes the continent dance. Brace yourself for a performer like no other. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the sensational top vocalist of this generation. It's the legend. It's it's you. You watching. You are the yellow star the world is waiting for. MTN Yellow Star needs you.
Yellow Star.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. Now to news around Africa. Liberia's coronavirus index case was said to have refused to be quarantined has now infected its domestic staff. Nathaniel Blala is head of the country's Environmental Protection Agency, who returned from Switzerland last week. President George Weah is also said to have suspended Blama from official duties. Blama has denied refusing to obey health protocols. President Weah has suspended all school and university activities for a week. Some African countries have imposed academic suspensions for longer periods of up to a month, and 7 African countries, Benin, Cape Verde, the Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, Mali, Niger and Sierra Leone are free of COVID-19 for now. As the COVID-19 pandemic spreads, South Africa has reported a surge in cases. 116 are now confirmed. 23 new cases were recorded in one day, the highest increase of any 24-hour period since the country confirmed its first case. South Africa has introduced new measures, including shutting its borders and schools across the country as the numbers continue to rise sharply. 4 of the new cases are children under 5 years old. And most of those with the virus brought it back from abroad, from the UK in particular. 14 cases of local transmission were confirmed on Tuesday. Authorities are under pressure to halt its spread. All schools in South Africa have closed from Wednesday. Foreigners traveling from badly affected countries are also barred from entry. The number of confirmed cases of coronavirus in Ghana has increased to 7. The country confirmed a new case on Tuesday in a 35-year-old male patient, a Ghanaian citizen who returned from Accra from France within the last 14 days. The patient had been isolated and is said to be in stable condition. Kenya has also confirmed 3 more cases of coronavirus, bringing the total to 7. Health Minister Mutahi Kagwa said in all the cases, the patient had arrived from abroad. Meanwhile, Egypt, which has recorded nearly 200 COVID-19 cases, has confirmed 2 patients with coronavirus have died. The country says a 78-year-old Italian woman and a 70-year-old Egyptian man died in an isolation hospital. The total death toll from the virus in the nation now stands at 6. Uganda trade union leadership is about to get on a collision course with hoteliers and tourism sector players in the country. Coronavirus has hit the tourism industry so hard that operators are planning to lay off workers. But trade unions say they will resist any such layoff plans. Uganda Broadcasting Corporation's Benina Nabera reports.
As the coronavirus continues to spread across the globe and as countries continue reporting new confirmed cases, Uganda is closely monitoring and updating travel advisories. Early last week, the government, through the Ministry of Health, released a revised travel advisory which increased the number of highly affected countries from 7 to 16, including the United States and the United Kingdom.
Cancellation of flights. 2 operators are receiving cancellations. We're having low visitors coming in, and now there is a barrier, mainly from the source markets. I'm talking of Germany, America, the US, I'm talking about Italy. So we're not getting tourists from those source markets. So that is how we are standing. So basically the value chain of tourism is broken.
Now the nearest was Kenya. Now Kenya has closed it. So you can imagine how the effect of Uganda is, yeah? The airlines are not coming in. Our only airline we have, the crafts are very few.
Tour and travel agencies are facing a meltdown as travel bans multiply.
It's still a big question of what we should really do, because we also have to take care of staff, yeah? We might have to cut down on the staff, on the activities that we are doing.
As the novel coronavirus rages through the world and spreads rapidly, Africa is the least affected continent at the moment, with less than 300 reported cases in roughly half of its 54 countries so far. The latest to confirm a coronavirus case in the East African bloc is Tanzania, where 1 person has been diagnosed with the disease. Some airlines such as Ethiopian Airlines, Rwanda Air, Fly Dubai and Emirates have so far suspended flights to some of the affected countries. Penina Nahwera and Shaidat Nasaku.
When we return, international news. European Union seals out the world, shuts its borders to stem coronavirus spread. And later, sport. Super Eagles former captain Mikel terminates contract with club.
You are watching ANN.
Correct, Costi. Give me 100 naira rice and add 888 join up. On top. Yes. Yes.
Which time I go be this now? Not be the same 100 when everybody they pay this morning.
They know use code.
Which code?
Oh boy, no get it for market to get better wolf. 888 now be the code yo. Have you?
Madam, I beg, serve me 888.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. On the international front, the European Union is shutting its borders to foreign visitors for the next 30 days to try to stop the spread of the coronavirus. 1/3 of the global coronavirus death toll of nearly 7,500 are in Italy. Spain and France had the second and third highest numbers of European cases. Residents in all three countries are under a mandatory lockdown. Belgium is also under a lockdown, and elderly persons are not allowed outside in Serbia. The coronavirus is especially dangerous to the elderly and those with compromised immune systems. Israelis have also been ordered to shelter in place. In other words, they should seek shelter in the buildings they already occupy. And Saudi Arabia has closed all mosques for daily prayers. Brazil is reporting its first coronavirus death. President Jair Bolsonaro is reportedly being tested again after he ignored his own advice to avoid crowds and joined thousands at a pro-government march Sunday in Brasilia. Bolsonaro has been tested once and it said the results were negative. China has expressed so much anger after U.S. President Donald Trump referred in a tweet to the coronavirus as the Chinese virus. Chinese Foreign Affairs Ministry spokesperson Geng Shuang stressed that the coronavirus outbreak had occurred in multiple places around the world, and the urgent task was for the international community to join forces to curb it.
Pandemics are global by definition, stretching way beyond borders. But U.S. President Donald Trump is taking a different narrative over the coronavirus outbreak, calling it, quote, the Chinese virus. Now, something you need to know how a virus is named. The World Health Organization named the new disease COVID-19 in February. It urged not using a location to name any virus or disease to avoid stigmatization. Neither Ebola nor MERS was named by a specific country. To the latest Trump's claim, Chinese Foreign Ministry responded.
Recently, some politicians in the United States have linked the new coronavirus to China, which is a stigmatization of China. We're strongly indignant and firmly opposed to it. The World Health Organization and the international community are clearly opposed to stigmatization and linking the virus to specific countries and regions. We urge the U.S. to immediately correct its mistake and stop its unjustifiable accusations against China. The novel coronavirus is spreading around the world, and the most important issue now is that the international community should actively cooperate in the fight against it. The United States should do its own work first and play a constructive role in maintaining global public health and safety through international cooperation. At this time when we need to work together to fight the epidemic, no country can be left alone. All countries must work together to face the current difficulties. That's the only way that we can defeat this epidemic as soon as possible.
Coping with a global crisis like COVID-19, there is no need to create new enemies apart from the virus.
Iran has reported its highest coronavirus death rate in a day. Another 147 had died in a nearly 15% spike that raises the death toll to more than 1,000. This marks the biggest 24-hour rise in deaths since officials first acknowledged cases of the virus in Iran in mid-February. The country's deputy health minister, Alireza Raisi, said the increased deaths come as the number of cases continues to grow each day. The number of infected currently stands at 17,000 nationwide for a third consecutive week. Iran has announced it would close mosques for communal Friday prayers Other Muslim countries, including Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and the United Arab Emirates, have also cancelled Friday prayers in mosques. Raisi criticized people for not adhering to the warnings, saying on national television the virus is very serious. Iran's President Hassan Rouhani defended his government's response to the coronavirus outbreak on Wednesday in the face of widespread criticism that officials acted too slowly and may have even covered up initial cases before infections rapidly spread across the country. China has expelled journalists from 3 U.S. newspapers, the New York Times, the Washington Post, and the Wall Street Journal. China's foreign ministry says this is in retaliation for restrictions on its news outlets in the U.S. It has also ordered reporters from the 3 newspapers to return their media passes within 10 days. China's action also prohibits the newspaper's journalists from working in the semi-autonomous regions of Hong Kong and Macau, where there is greater press freedom than on the mainland. Earlier this month, the Trump administration imposed limits on the number of Chinese citizens who could work as journalists in the U.S. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo urged Beijing to reconsider its decision, calling the move unfortunate.
Up next, sports. Super Eagles former captain Mikel Obi terminates contract with Trabzonspor. Please stay with us.
You are watching ANN. Somewhere in the world, every second of the day, news is happening. And of course, Nigeria is bustling with news day and night. That is why ANN doesn't sleep. Our eyes are peeled, wide open, so no story escapes our radar. We stay abreast of world events and happenings at home. We keep you up to the minute in the world of sports. We give you information to stay on top of your investments and all the hard facts you need to navigate your day. If you miss us on air, you can keep up to date on our website and on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. We are ANN, Africa News Network. We do news right in a truly African spirit.
Whether in your house, at your office, on your phone or online, we are there. We have the facts behind the headlines. We cut to the chase with the news you really need. We cover every angle. We are the bigger, better news network. We are African News Network. ANN. Watch ANN News on MITV from a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News and Sport. Turkish club Trabzonspor have terminated the contract of Nigerian midfielder Mikel Obi after 9 months with the club. The midfielder joined the Turkish club June last year as a free agent on a 2-year deal. The club's management was upset by Obi's post on his Instagram page that the Turkish LIG should be cancelled because of the coronavirus pandemic. The club made the confirmation in a statement on their website. Copa America, due to kick off in June in Argentina and Colombia, has been postponed for a year because of the coronavirus pandemic. Other sports like tennis, golf, rugby and Formula One have also either delayed or cancelled a host of events and competitions. The Copa is South America's main continental competition between national sides and had been scheduled to run from June. The start of World Cup qualifying in South America, which was due to begin at the end of March, has also been postponed. That is ANN News this evening. Thank you for joining us. For details on these and other breaking stories, visit our website, annafrica.news. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Have a pleasant evening.